All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Rocket Lab Weekly. It's going to be a solo show today. Hopefully, you guys enjoy it. A lot of news going on. Not necessarily specifically just a Rocket Lab, but a lot of news in general. So we're just going to run through it, and hopefully, you guys have a good afternoon after this. Let me pull up the stock chart for everybody, so we can take a quick look at the performance. It's going to be an interesting one because it's the last full week upcoming before we have earnings. So it'll be an interesting time to kind of see what specifically the stock is going to do. I'm assuming there's going to be lots of news to be shared during that time period. So stock rather flat for the entirety of the week, retracing from where we were probably about a month ago or mid-month last month up to $73, but we've been slowly retracing back down to the low 60s. So here we are. And I think overall, decent price. It's still a 30-odd billion dollar market cap company, and we have yet to have some of the biggest catalysts yet for us to kind of occur. But I feel like we're going to have a lot of news to kind of go through when it comes to the earnings chat next Monday. Obviously not the 3rd, but the 10th. So it'll be fun. It'll be interesting to see what kind of unfolds from that. But for now, before we get into the specific conversations around, let's say, earnings and 3Q and rolling up everything, there's a lot of news going on. And let's just start off with the Escapade mission. Why is it not showing? Let's just go with, where is it at? Share. Present. The heck? Meow. Share screen. Come on now. That's weird. Why won't you let me share it? That's so strange. It literally just said share, and now it's like, let me refresh really quick. All right, let's try this again. Hopefully you guys can hear me. There we go. Okay. Sorry about that. I don't know what was going on with that. I did everything I was supposed to do, and here we are. So anyway, Escapade. So this is going to be launched off of the New Glenn rocket. So we'll get into a little bit of the static firing or hot fire testing associated with that. But here is a picture associated with the items that are going to be launched on behalf of the UC Santa Barbara mission that's going for Escapade. So it's going to be interesting to see how this works. This is going to be the last time, apparently, they are visible before they actually get launched. So this picture came out yesterday. Rocket Lab shared this one. It'll be very cool to see. And these are for anybody that was following the Escapade mission. This was actually supposed to be on NG1, so New Glenn 1, and then it got pushed off. I think not 100% certain as to why, but here we are now, almost a year later, after New Glenn 1 has gone off, and they are now testing New Glenn 2 to be able to show up for this. So let's hop over to look at how close we are to New Glenn 2 actually getting off. Let me just make sure I have the audio shared. I always do. Okay, good. Wow. All right. Absolutely awesome. Sorry for you guys wearing headphones. Hopefully, it didn't blow out your eardrums, but very cool. Very cool to be able to see. Hopefully, we get a launch off for Escapade sooner rather than later, because obviously that's going to unlock a lot of potential in future missions for Rocket Lab and everybody else. The IQPS is a mission that is going to be launching the middle of next week. I believe it is going to be Wednesday for us here in the States, Thursday morning for those that are in New Zealand. And for anybody that hasn't necessarily been following, IQPS now is signed up for the next fifth, sixth, and seventh launches. So this launch is upcoming next week. Will be their fourth launch out of a four launch deal. So this will be interesting to continue to this partnership specifically. These guys, I think we are their primary launch provider, so it's good to see them continuing on. And obviously, signing up for an additional three missions means that we'll be able to continue to help them on their journey. So for us, we launched, meaning Rocket Lab, launched QPSR number 9 through 12 over the past several launches. And so hopefully we'll be able to see 13 and beyond going for this upcoming Wednesday. And we'll be able to see the next tranche of IQPS coming through in, they said no earlier than January 2026. So it'll be interesting to see what actually ends up showing up in terms of that for everybody. Let's see. Cool. So, speaking of the launch next week, payload integration and encapsulations are complete for the IQPS mission. Actually, what I meant to pull up is generally Rocket Lab does a phenomenal job putting in ideas around the upcoming missions, and they give like a media package that people can look at. So, actually, instead of going through. But shout out before we always do it. I think a lot of people always are like, Matt, thank you. You don't need to thank me. Like, thank these individuals, the ones that are actually putting, the ones that are actually putting, the integration of these satellites into the fairings and everything like that. That's the people you need to be thanking, because I'm just a guy on a screen here, comfortably here in my office in Houston. These guys, as you can see, are in the clean room, making sure that everything gets tidied up and everything's packaged appropriately so that everything goes off without a hitch. And they've done so for over 70 missions. So these guys are the real heroes, and they continue to do an absolutely phenomenal job. So the Nation God Navigates, cool name. This will be no earlier than November 5th, Launch Complex 1, so New Zealand. And this will be QPS SAR number 14 specifically. Let's just see what else they got here. So their hope for QPS is to develop a 36 SAR satellite constellation with real-time imaging of Earth every 10 minutes. So let's check out the press kit and switch over to this, zoom in. I wonder when this badge will be patch will be available. Let's see. Institute of Kyushu Pioneers of Space. That's what IQPS stands for. A Japanese Earth imaging company. They're going to be launching this from Pad B, not Pad A. One single satellite, 42 degrees inclination. And here's the dates. I'll be back. I will be, unfortunately, or fortunately, I guess, on business. So I may not be able to stream this, but we will see. So this, let's see, at Eastern time is 2:45-ish. So it'll be nighttime where I'll be. So maybe I'll be able to stream it with you guys, depending on. I do have a team dinner at some point Tuesday or Wednesday next week. So unfortunately, I might not be able to stream it, but hopefully I can. So let's just see. Launch Complex 1, Japanese-based Earth imaging company, IQPS. Earth imaging constellation delivers high-resolution photographics from specific locations every 10 minutes. So some cool graphics of some previous missions. Harvest Goddess thrives. Some good photography there. And the Sea God sees. Do I have that one? I have the Mountain Guard guards. The Mountain God guards. So sorry. Let's see what else I got. Yeah. The Sea God sees. Sorry, nerding out. Sorry. Yeah, just straight up was like, I have that. So yeah, this would be cool. I love these pictures that they have. They always show the existing ones that have kind of gone through. So oh, this is the 6th mission. Okay, so I'm behind. I am behind on that for some reason. Okay, so this one that's upcoming is the 7th. Okay, and then they'll have 3 more. So I guess this is the 10th. So I misread the news release. Let me reread that so I don't make a fool of myself. So with 4 dedicated missions already booked on the IQPS on Electron. Okay. So this is upcoming missions. Got it. Okay, so there's 7 upcoming missions. So after this one launches, there'll be 6 more. I misread that. That is my fault. That makes complete sense. I think I have the Moon God Awakens too. I'll have to look for that later. Cool. So there is that. Another piece I think that I wanted to touch on, which I thought was pretty important, not necessarily for Rocket Lab, but for the industry as a whole, is really what's going on with the Artemis mission, because that obviously plays into the future of what's going on with Rocket Lab specifically. So a lot of people giving pushback. I think we touched on it in the past about SpaceX getting some pushback with respect to, are they behind? Are they on track? And so I think a lot of people are having them under the spotlight at the moment. So they're pushing back. So this is from SpaceX yesterday. I'm not sure who had the original post, but SpaceX responded to this, saying they continue to be this simultaneously the fastest path to return humans to the surface of the moon and an enabler for the Artemis program to establish sustainable presence on the lunar surface. Now, obviously, that plays an impact on Rocket Lab. Obviously, if we're able to get to the moon, then that might have positive impacts and needs for Rocket Lab to help support any sort of Artemis mission or beyond, as Artemis is focused on eventually going to Mars in the latter half of the decade. So very interesting to see what kind of comes of this. And they released an entire web page associated with this, specifically around what SpaceX is focused on, and this ties heavily into the Mars telecommunications orbit, the MTO project that Rocket Lab is focusing on. And so obviously Starship being the piece that they hope to have as the lunar lander, and redesigning it to be able to make scale work for them and actually get it to work and show up. So I mean, that's obviously, if this is successful, then you'll have the ability to then have these guys use the lunar lander from the Starship, which obviously can then be fed into, okay, we've done the moon, now let's go to Mars, and that obviously will play an impact on Rocket Lab contracts and things of the like. So interesting to see with respect to where this ends up. But this is obviously an ongoing thing that's been happening. They noted specifically that this contract has been alive and well since 2021. Another piece of news, which I thought was pretty interesting, and you guys may have seen the renditions coming out over the past few months or so, is Honda having a rocket now out, which I was never expecting in my 2025 or 2026 bingo card to see that Honda had entered the race. But let's just do a quick look, and I'll play this without sound. So I think that there is audio of like music in the background, and I've been trying my best to play as many clips as I can with music, but unfortunately, I keep getting demonetized. So I have to be cautious about what I actually share. So let's just take a quick look as to what this shows up as. So I know it's going to be boring because there's no music and anything like that, but um, looks eerily similar. Very small though. You can see the people standing next to it. So in terms of size, it is much smaller than say an Electron, and also much smaller than a Starship. Much smaller than a Starship. So you can see, I mean, it's like 2 or 3 people tall. It's not anything massive comparatively, but still a feat nonetheless. Make sound effects for you. Exactly. Yeah, it's more like a star hopper, that's for sure. But it's like, look at it. It's like a little mini starship. It's kind of funny. So I think they went up like, I think it says it here. I think they went up like 250 to 275 meters. So just shy of 1,000 feet. Yeah, 271 meters. Yeah, they were able to land within 37 centimeters of the center of the target. So congratulations to the Honda. Curious to see specifically what moon missions they're going to be doing with something like this. If not moon missions, but um, orbital missions they'll be able to do with something like this. It looks like they want to use it as some sort of lunar lander. So Japan has entered the space race. It looks like. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, Honda obviously has that previous history of being able to provide engines, motorcycles, jet engines, etc. So, very curious. Let me just let it finish out. Very curious to see where they take this, and is this something that we actually end up collaborating with? As we've seen, Rocket Lab collaborating a lot with a lot of Japanese independent companies, and it seems like Japan is very much on a race to try to get a lot of information about Earth imaging and many other things. So it's cool to see that there could be another player to potentially lean on. But other than that, and then I think really, I know this is like a very quick running show. There's not a lot of discussion because it's just me. But my hope is maybe run through. I know that we'll obviously be back next week. Next, what is it? The 8th. Yeah, we'll be hopefully back on the 8th. I might be late for me, but we'll figure it out. But we'll be back on the 8th to give us our ideas as to what we predict for the actual 3Q earnings coming up. But before that, let's just give a quick look of specifically what we are planning on seeing that was guided from Rocket Lab themselves. So they guided for revenue between 145 and 155 million. So they expect year-over-year increases in both space systems and launch revenue. And then for Q3 GAAP and non-GAAP gross margins, they continue to see expansion going for GAAP gross margins of mid 30s to 37%, which is huge comparatively to where we have been, and non-GAAP gross margins of 39 to 41%, which is huge that we're getting into the 40s, or even thinking about or guiding getting into the 40s. So huge in that respect. Operating expenses of 104 to 109, and expect non-GAAP operating expenses of 86 to 91 million. Expect interest expense of 1.3. Adjusted EBITDA loss of 21 to 23 million, and then an increase of share count to 528 million associated with that. I did have also what the expectations are for Rocket Lab's quarter that just came up. So to give everyone an idea as to where we just came from, we lost 8 cents on a normalized basis and 13 cents on a GAAP basis on 144 million in revenue. So revenue actually came in above what expectations were. It looks like now people are expecting us to only lose 6 cents and 10 cents respectively on a GAAP basis, with revenue increasing to about 152 million or so. So very curious to see what ends up happening. It looks like at the moment most people are writing things down in terms of where they were a few months ago. That might have just been because of how many launches that they ended up getting in the quarter. So yeah, maybe that's a good point where I can hop over to that. I thought I had it up, but here we go. So how many launches did we actually have in the quarter? So this quarter, we had 1, 2, 3, 4 launches in total, comparatively to maybe say the thought that we would have 5 launches or maybe even 6 launches. We still are on track for at least this upcoming launch to be a launch cadence of about 20 for the trailing 12 months. So everything's kind of heading in the right direction, even though it might have been a slower quarter per se. Things are still looking somewhat decent. And then we've had one launch since the end of the quarter, and hopefully another launch prior to earnings come the 10th. So this is where we're tracking in terms of the last 12 months. So not in a in-year 2025 basis, but in a specific TTM basis. And this will always shift with time, right? As we kind of get our next launch off, right? We'll have to adjust, where we are in terms of have we passed out from a previous launch. So here you can see, I think the last launch from 2024 that this counts towards was like the 5th or the 4th of November. And so everything beyond that, we've had 20 launches since then. And you kind of see they come in pairs, or like quintuplets rather. You'll see quintuplet here, a month off, quintuplet here, a month off, quintuplet here, a month off, 6 here, a month off, or so. And so I'm kind of curious if that's by design, and that's something I definitely want to ask in the future, because I think that's a really cool thing to kind of see in the data itself, and to see if there's something that can help smooth that out. Because as you can kind of see, you're now starting to slow down in the latter half of the year. Is there going to be a bump up that shows where the last piece of the year we end up in a pretty good space? But this one is particular to this one I think is particular to fiscal year 25 alone. And so, sorry, I keep screwing around with me. I'll double check it starts at the right spot. I'm pretty certain that it does, but I think that this might be the 0 point, and the first launch I think was actually in like February. So let's just go back and take a quick look here at the numbers. So first launch, was in February. So this does show. So even though this shows a launch here, that launch is at 0, right? So not actually counting. And then this is your first, second, third, fourth, fifth. So we've had, this will be the 16th launch here. So this is the November 5th launch that's scheduled in the next week or so. So you can kind of see we still might have possibility before the end of the year to hit 20. So we need to get, if you draw a straight line through this, it looks like we're pretty good in terms of being able to get to 20 in year. So that'll be up from 16 in total for the year. So that should be beneficial potentially for the fourth quarter in terms of showing how many launches. I have a lot of different graphics in here, so apologies. But the cool thing is you can kind of see the acceleration of total launches over time, and it really starting to hit kind of an exponential kind of curve in terms of showing up where we're at. And here, of course, is the trailing 12-month launch cadence since day one of when we were kind of getting started on launches. Here's total days between. Let's just see. So another cool graphic that I've been kind of keeping track of, which we're kind of underperforming right now comparatively to 2024. But with this upcoming launch, we'll be at 16 total launches for the year, which matches the cadence that we had in 2024 for in year. So hopefully we'll be able to show a positive uplift closer to 20. But I'm not exactly sure where that's going to come from. Is that going to come from Haste? Is that going to come from Electron? So very cool to at least be able to take a quick look at potentially the cadence, because if you're able to maintain that 20 launch cadence, eventually, if you keep that 20 launch cadence consistent over a trailing 12 months in year, should hopefully match up with it, right? So one of the things that I want to do is be sure that I merge these two spreadsheets. So one is like a launch cadence spreadsheet, and one is a revenue spreadsheet or something like this. But this is what I'm keeping track of. So irregardless of whether or not, to me, Neutron shows up, and I appreciate everybody's patience while I kind of just take up some of these airwaves before we get to Q&A or see what you guys are typing in the chat. And I thank you guys for showing up and bearing with me for a solo show. I know it's not as exciting as it normally is, but the thing that I've been kind of looking at more specifically is really, why can't I? Let me fix this. Why won't you let me fix you? There we go. One of the things that maybe I should just type 25 instead of 2025. One of the things I look at most specifically, and let me see if I can get rid of. Yeah, that's as good as it's going to get, ladies and gents. There we go. Oh, and it went the wrong direction. The spin wheel on my mouse is broken. So sometimes when I want it to go out, it goes in, and vice versa. So the thing that I'm looking at specifically is obviously continued revenue growth and growing into the third quarter. So I think I have some approximate numbers in here to kind of show what I believe is forecasted. The thing that I'm most concerned about is leveling off on this OPEX of like 100 million or so for the year, or for the quarter rather, so that you're only really burning 400 or so million, and your gross profit can continue to kind of stay at like the 50 or so range. And then when you actually have things that you're spending money on, you can eventually turn this around. But you can see the ops cash flow, which is pretty much just how much money you're making minus your operating expenditures, minus your SG&A and everything like that. You're actually showing up okay. You're trending in the right direction. You're not growing massively down and to the right. So even though you're increasing costs associated with getting Neutron and everything to the pad, you're staying pretty reasonably close. And then almost in 3 different occasions here, we actually were ops cash positive, which I think shows the testament of, if we were to actually remove some of these costs associated with getting Neutron to the pad and return back to just normal operations without some of this extra costs, right? We will be within spitting distance of being able to be cash flow positive. So very cautiously optimistic about that. And the thing that I'm most curious about, and I'd like to get some more detail on, is you're seeing this large R&D expense. So you have SG&A. SG&A is specifically like sales in general and administrative. So this is like employees and things like that. Then R&D is obviously associated mostly with Neutron. So if R&D, I assume some of this R&D, as headcount gets moved back over to just normal headcount, it's not going to be called like R&D headcount. Maybe it'll just be called more SG&A. But as this reverses, my hope is that we're able to. Sorry, this isn't the right header for this particularly. It should just say quarterly operating expenditure. But as this goes in the opposite direction and hopefully starts to get closer to 50 million, we get to a place where we're cash flow positive, and that's obviously the goal for the second half of, or sorry, the first half of 2026, as long as we're able to get Neutron off. Now, if Neutron gets pushed into the first quarter of 26, then maybe that pushes cash flow break even closer to the third quarter. But that's really what I'm eyeing for this particular chat that's upcoming, is really a little bit more detail around when Neutron is going to be launched. There's been obviously a lot of chatter that not a lot has happened specifically in the milestones, and maybe we'll pull that up really quick, and then we'll get to chat. But let's see if we can get an update on progress. Here we go. So we got stage 2 build, the structural and cryogenic testing. Archimedes hardware is now complete. The first engine for Archimedes has been tested. Stage 1 build, stage 2 build, the AFP machine. Now we're in 2025. So stage 2 qualification. And now we have a lot of other things really starting up. So LC3 is now green. We have the flight mechanics test program has been works, engine qualification, stage 1 qualification, regulatory approval, vehicle integration, static fire, which is in progress, stage 1 static fire, wet dress rehearsal, and then the integrated launch to hopefully have an enabler to access space. So you can see some things getting at least underway. Approval for regulatory, vehicle integration, static fire, etc. So fingers crossed that things show up. So appreciate that was 30 minutes and probably not long enough. You guys are probably expecting an hour, but let's just take a quick look at who has been fortunate to bless me. Appreciate you guys showing up as always. So thank you for gracing me with your presence. We got Hot Curtis, we got Cole, Baruski, we got Brent, we got Natalie, we got Mama June, Mike, we got Saha. Let's see, Happy Me Fly. Yeah, I have to wear this on the plane. I'm about to leave. I have to finish packing, and then I'm gonna head to the airport after this. And then if you guys see me streaming, I'll be streaming from a hotel room likely. So hopefully this got resolved. I didn't really see any other people bring it up other than you, Curtis. So hopefully it was just a you problem. Hopefully you were able to resolve it yourself. We got Twan, we got Aaron, we got Guy, we got Jason Johnston, Miss Melanie, what's going on? We got Dan. Oh, let's see. I get paid to wait. Interesting. I like that. We got Austin, Andre, Sponge Rob, as always. We got Miss Olga. We got Mariusz. Let's see. We got Jack Treehorn. Super Max Verstappen. I didn't know Max Verstappen watched me. That's awesome. Space Ghost, thank you. Dude, side note, before I keep running through. I don't know. Normally when I finish my day, I'll like eat and continue working at my desk. I don't know, some sort of juice or something spilled in my trash can. Like I emptied my trash can yesterday because trash day is on Saturdays. So normally before I get up, I sleep in on Saturdays. And dude, this trash can just stinks. I gotta throw. I either have to wash it out or throw out the whole thing. It's probably just ready. It's probably a couple years old at this point, so maybe I just buy another one. It's one of those cheaper Rubbermaid trash cans. Harmsy, RT1, Dieter. Let's see. So yeah, where are the other guys? The other guys, they're all either sick, training babies, or just occupied with other things. And so the show must go on, guys. we can't skip an episode. They were like, "Hey, let's just skip," and I said, "I'm not going to let it sit. I'm not going to skip. I'm not going to let that happen." The last thing we would want to do. It takes a little bit of effort from one of us, and I didn't have anything else really going on other than um, packing for my trip. And so I was like, you know what, I can hop on, do some research, get some topics. It's no big deal. Normally Vince does that, and he does a really good job of it. So apologies that this week is subpar, and hopefully it met enough of your guys' expectations. Did I buy the Meta dip? What price do I see end of year? I don't really know much about end of year targets for Meta, and um, I did buy one share just to kind of keep track of it. So um, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily be able to comment too much on it. Let's see. Hey Brett, thank you for stopping by, man. Really appreciate you being in here. Rocket Lab 10 running out of fingers. Oh yeah. I don't know if I got that one. I can show you guys some of the ones that I got. Is this all of them? I had another bunch, but I actually sent them to my old apartment, which I need to reach out to the. I don't know why. Like I thought I deleted that from my Apple Pay, but it sent it to my old apartment, so I went all the way here to Houston and then back. And I was hoping they would just deliver it to my old apartment, um, and then I would just be able to pick it up in the office. But they sent it back to California. We got Full Stream Ahead. We got the Sea God Seas. The Mountain Guard Guards. That's IQPS. You can see there's one that fell behind me. So above that Albert Einstein picture, that's one that Dougie got me. I had another one, but that fell. So I had to fix that. Finding hot wildfires near you. Knies killed the radioed star. High five with Knies. Get the Hawk out of here. Hawkeye 360. Which I haven't seen from them guys in a minute. The Harvest Goddess Thrives. IQPS as well. Another black sky. Fasten your seatbelts. Or sorry, fasten your space belts. Another black sky. IoT 4, you and me. That's Knies, launch 4. Owl the way up for Synspective. The last one I have here is Ice Ace Baby. That's Knies number 3. So fun. Yeah, I need to figure out what. Hopefully, they didn't just like recirculate and sell those things. I've been meaning to reach out to them. I sent them an email when I bought it saying like, "Hey, I accidentally sent this to the wrong address. Can you ship it?" And I never heard anything back. And I'm sure it was just an automated email that I sent it to. So I should have done more. Asian rockets are generally smaller in size. You heard it here first. Is that like New Shepard from Blue Origin? It's a New Glenn, so it's their medium large launch vehicle. So should be like 75 to 100 million versus the New Shepard is like oh, you mean like the Honda rocket? Okay, yeah. I think that the Honda rocket is likely way smaller than the New Shepard. New Shepard, at least you could put 5-6 people in the top of the New Shepard. So we got Miss Tess in here. Honda's ability to scale production is world class. So yeah, Honda does a good job. Let's see. Yeah, the recessed grid fins are pretty cool, huh? Yeah, man. You got some really good manufacturers over there. I mean, I don't think people realize that like Hyundai is a ship maker, right? Like they Hyundai makes cars, yeah, but they also build like large floating offshore facilities and um, boats and FPSOs and stuff like that. Went big on Korean. Oh, Kraken. I thought you said Korean. Went big on Kraken. Hopefully, it'll be like Rocket Lab. I think the oceans are still a place where it's at. Easier to mine than space. We'll see. Kraken looked interesting. It doesn't look horrible. They actually do make some decent money. It's not like they're hemorrhaging cash or anything like that. Yeah, some good curves in there. They're doing a good job of getting cadence up for sure. Lots of advances made there. Sonar instrumentation robotics, AI, but in the deep. Yeah, for talking specifically around Kraken. Yeah. Mm, Okay. Yeah, this chat seems to be going growing awry a little bit. Let's see. I'm 10 minutes behind. Yeah, engine and stage qualification is going to be right up until launch. I agree. We got Hot Adam, the trader. Just kidding. No, we got Adam in the house. Hopefully things are going well for you, brother. That is true. There was something about that, and I saw that. Let's see, Wall Street Journal, Gundam. I remember seeing something like that, and I didn't readily come available or come by it. Oh yeah, so it was about SpaceX. Talked a little bit about it, but hold on a sec. Uh, I just canceled my Wall Street Journal subscription too. Oh, okay. There we go. For people that are interested, maybe we'll throw it into the room. I think that people are like, how do I say this? They might be overreacting, right? Just because SpaceX is getting involved in Golden Dome doesn't mean like every other company is going to fail, right? It's going to be such a large project that you're going to need um, a multitude of companies, right? When you're talking, it's like, oh, this is a $2 billion contract. The entire contract is going to be over 100 billion. So hopefully that, you know, and it doesn't guarantee that Rocket Lab is going to be involved, but it gives it a better chance. I think a lot of people just like remove that context entirely. So the article reads SpaceX will reportedly receive a $2 billion contract to develop satellites for the US government, according to Wall Street Journal. Detailed that SpaceX will be tasked with developing up to 600 satellites that can track missiles and aircraft and be used for President Trump's proposed Golden Dome project. Announced back in May, which is I saw a bunch of articles dating back to May. President introduced a project to build an anti-missile defense system to intercept missile attacks before reaching their target. Golden Dome is reminiscent of the Israel's Iron Dome project, but the Pentagon has yet to reveal concrete details about the project. Considering the scale, it's noteworthy that SpaceX's reported $2 billion could be one of many associated with the Golden Dome. According to the report, companies like Anduril Industries, Palantir could also be involved in the development, which the Trump administration wants to be complete before the end of his presidential term. So, as we stated, many people, many companies will be involved in the Golden Dome. So, yes, maybe SpaceX gets something, but it doesn't mean that it will be only SpaceX. Let's try to. I'm going to try to keep it relevant to Rocket Lab. This isn't a just ask Matt anything sort of thing. All right. All right, I think looks like everybody's asking about other things. So if there's not any other questions specifically around Rocket Lab or anything like that, I might end it a little early. I do have to get something to eat slightly before I go to the airport, or maybe I just go to the airport early and get something there. Maybe I just do that. But here we go, Matt. I noticed the last 3 quarters at Rev's been higher, but the company profits. There's no follow-on. All right. Bought a large amount the mission, and now I have them on my home office cabinets. They look fire. I do need a display cloth. That's one thing I've been trying to get to. Um, cool. How many shares for $1 million position in 2035? I guess that's up for you to decide, my man. I don't want to predict what I think um, it'll be for 2035. I mean, you have to think: is it going to be 50, $100 billion market cap, 200, $500 billion market cap, and then aim backwards? And I think what this gentleman's referring to is I was talking specifically about having a goal. So like a lot of times when I enter positions, I'll have a goal around what a value do I want to get to specifically for this position, um, and try to get that share count. So if I think it's going to be worth, let's say, $20 billion, I'm going to get X amount of shares because I think there'll be approximately this many shares. So, by the time it grows into that size, I'll be able to have $1 million position in it, right? And it allows you to kind of start from the backwards. And it's never going to be right? But it at least gives you something to hang your hat on and a mission. And I think that that's more important because what ends up happening is I think some people like to just stack as many companies as possible, and then they lose sight of them, and then they get bored, and then they sell out of them for, oh, I'm up 5%, right? Let me sell out of it. And it's just like, dude, like, so I like to focus more on a smaller number of companies that I want to grow to be a larger part of my portfolio, and try to understand, okay, this company's going to give me this company's going to give me that, and build them all on top of each other to try to understand, how large of a position do I think it would end up being for me. And then I can say, okay, well, I'm only 25% of the way there to my share count goal. I'm only 50%. And it at least gives you an idea. And so I did that with Rocket Lab, and it worked out beautifully. And I did it to an extent with Palantir, but not maybe to the extent that I wanted to. I kind of paused. I wanted to get another 20% shares, but now that I'm looking at it, I think I'm like 60% of the way on my Palantir shares. I'm like 80% of the way on my Rocket Lab shares. Yeah, so this is the way I look at it. If you think a company's going to 5x, 10x, like what number do you want to end with? You want to end with $1 million. You're going to need to build $100,000 position in it, right? And I don't think that people put a lot of rigor into that. You kind of have to start with the end in mind before the numbers show up, and like you can't just be like, yeah, I want to be a millionaire, and then be like, I have $1,000 and I'm putting in a Rocket Lab, like hope and pray, right? Like you can actually do the math and at least put yourself in a better shooting chance. And I think unfortunately a lot of people, they're not happy with the math. They're like, oh, that's a lot of work that I have to do. That's just like, but to get to where you want to be and your goals, like it's going to take work and effort and time. So don't be whimsical about the things that you're doing. Be methodical about it. Cool. All right, everybody. Thank you for hanging out with me. Unfortunately, didn't have the assistance of the other three, but they had family stuff or were just busy. And I know Vince really appreciates it. He was really dragging, and so yeah, I know he appreciates everybody always showing up, and hopefully you guys will get some good use out of this one. I know I didn't necessarily get everything in there, um, but feel free. There's a lot of great people in the chat that also participate in the community that have great channels as well. So be sure to check in on them and check their content on X. But please, if you guys can do me a favor, if you haven't already followed Dave G, you haven't followed Vince, you haven't followed Scotto, be sure to check out their YouTubes in my description, and please feel free to watch them. Dave, if you're more interested in space, he puts out videos way more frequently than I do when it comes to space, and same thing with Scott. Vince and I, we do streaming, but it's Vince only really does Rocket Lab Weekly at the moment, and then I'm trying to get back into it a little bit more to give people a little bit more help, because it seems like there's how do I say this, a lot more hype going on these days than things truly routed in reality. And so I just wanted to make sure that there's a little bit of realism into some of these streams that are going out on a day-to-day basis. And I know some of it's for entertainment purposes, and it's exciting, it's fun, but I think sometimes people get so excited they just like misrepresent things, and I just don't want people to. I don't want to say scam's not the right term, but I don't want people to get like coaxed into, buying into hype if they're not truly prepared for it. And I want to make sure that people always, when they enter a position, they do it with a plan, and they don't just do it whimsically. So you guys rock. Appreciate you, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Cheers.
That's my quant.
Your what?
My quantitative.
You show me a pay stub for $72,000 on it, I quit my job right now and I work for you.
Be first, be smarter, or cheat.
I'm not fucking leaving!
Sell it all today.
Or look at it say, it's beautiful!
Welcome to the fucking show.